What's up, guys? We're back. I want to talk about avocados and when you can actually pick them, because once in a while I'll get questions about when I'm able to pick some of my avocados and when is a good time to actually pick them, right? So this is a Hass avocado, and this is not going to be ready until next year. We're in November of 2024, and we're going to have to wait until next year to start to harvest these and enjoy these. But some varieties are ready right now, and I want to show you some of the things that I look for when an avocado is ready to be picked and we can start enjoying them. So if you're in Southern California like me, Southern California is pretty big actually. It goes all the way from, San Diego all the way up north to probably Santa Barbara area, uh, Los Angeles, and just all over. And each and every area has its own little microclimate, so you really have to kind of, you know, pay attention to where you're at. And then every year that you have fruit, and if you're starting to pick your fruit, you just have to kind of keep track of it. So, for example, Hass, I know takes at least 12 months. And some other varieties that I have also will take more than 12 months. So whenever you get fruit, for example, you can start counting the months. Mexicola will fruit, and in 7 months you can start harvesting Mexicola. Mexicola Grande, 8 months. So just count 8 months from when you get fruit to being able to harvest the fruit and enjoying them. Stewart is like 9 months, for example. Okay, so why do I say count the months? So we're in November. This is my Maluma, and this Maluma is flowering. Yeah, so I mean, we're in November, and this thing is flowering. So if this thing were to set fruit, I would kind of start that at 0 and start counting the months. And it helps out, especially if you have varieties that you have off-season fruit. Like, for example, Carmen is a variety that you can have multiple crops throughout the year. I have not experienced it. I've had a off-season flower set, and it actually set fruit, but the fruit did not hang on. So if I do get fruit off-season and the fruit hangs on, I'm going to start counting from that point on. And for us, this has been a weird year. We're in November, and for this tree to actually flower, I don't know if it's actually going to set any fruit, but you never know. And then timing wise, if you know that some fruit, like this is a lamb Hass, and lamb Hass will be harvested after Hass. So I haven't even started harvesting Hass, so there's no point in looking at even considering harvesting your lamb right now. So something to keep in mind. But some avocados will actually turn dark on the tree. So let me show you my Stewart real quick. All right, so here is a Stewart, and you can see this one is a little more necky, and the whole thing is starting to turn kind of like black. The bottom is still a little green, but this is roughly the time when I harvest Stewart. So I'm actually going to pick this one, and you can just pop it right there. You can see, just pop nice and clean, and we're going to put this on the counter. It's going to soften up, and then we can start enjoying it. Okay, so also what you can notice is that this used to be more shiny, and now the skin is becoming a little bit more dull. Like it's not as shiny as it used to be. So that's another sign that it's ready to be picked and ready to go. All right, so here's another variety that will turn dark on the tree. So this one is the Surprise, and you can see how big it is right now. But the Surprise has these ridges on the skin. You can feel it. It's like a ridge. but the surprise will actually turn dark on the tree. So right now the bottom's kind of green, the top is starting to have that darker blush of black. So that's one way to kind of know. And it's not ready yet. I expect this thing to turn more black, and then we're going to start harvesting one or two and giving it a try. So again, you don't want to harvest the whole tree. You want to harvest one, wait for it to kind of ripen on the counter, and if it tastes good, then you're ready to start picking more. But if you pick one and it's not good, you kind of have to wait a little longer before you can start picking more. So another variety that's supposed to turn black on the tree is this. This is SC Gold. As you can see, it's still green and it's still kind of shiny, so it's not ready. And you know, from what I've heard, it's going to be ready probably maybe January, February time frame. So if this thing starts to turn black on the tree and the whole thing turns black, we're pretty much ready to start enjoying these. And you know what, I've heard that these kind of stay on the tree for a long time, so that's a good sign of a good fruit that's gonna hang on and allow us to kind of pick them slowly throughout the season. So also sometimes some fruit you will hear like the seed inside rattling. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but the seed that's inside there, you can actually hear it rattling inside. So on the tree itself, this is a Mexicola Grande, and Mexicolas will turn black. And in this particular case, I was holding on to the fruit and I kind of felt the seed rattling. So I'm like, oh yeah, definitely ready to go. All right, so knowing the season is important. Another thing you can look for is the stem. And this stem right here, you can see it's still green. Some of the varieties that I have right now that are pretty much ready to go, the stem section is starting to turn yellow. Let me show you that. All right, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a Zutano, and you can see the Zutano starting to get dull for the skin. Also, the stem is turning yellow, and I'm gonna pause the video and then circle the area where I can show you that it's starting to change color. So between the stem and, I don't know what it's called, but this is starting to turn black. So if you see that, that essentially says, hey, we're kind of ready to be harvested. Also for me, if I see like a mark like that on the fruit, that kind of means that some animal is already trying it out. So some UFO has tried it out, and this is kind of maybe ready to be picked. Plus it's got that yellow stem, plus it's got that black in between the stem and the fruit. So I think this one is ready. We'll give this one a try. This is Zutano, and I will pop it right at that point where it's black. You see how it popped off nice and clean like that? So we're gonna put this on the counter. We're gonna give it a try, see how it goes. Some of my other Zutano fruit is still kind of glossy. The stem is not necessarily completely yellow. Like you can see that it's kind of still a little green. So it's still a little glossy. So we'll just leave this on for now, and then we'll come back and take a look at it a little bit later on. So the Zutano is growing well. It's got a lot of fruit on here. I'm excited about that. And we got one that we're gonna give it a try. So this is on the smaller side, but you can also see that the stem was yellow, and so we'll give this one a try and see how it goes. But some of the bigger ones are still hanging on for now, so we'll see how it goes. So really just a quick recap. One is to know the variety and know when that variety will typically ripen, right? So Mexicola will ripen sooner, Mexicola Grande will ripen after that. And then you got your Hass and Fuerte, and then Lambs and Reeds, and you know, Reeds are like 15, 16 months. So knowing the variety is important, and knowing when. is when you can kind of gauge when you should be able to harvest some of these varieties and enjoy them. And then also know where you are. I mean, some people who are in Southern California, in San Diego, Vista area might be different than Corona, Norco area, and some folks up in Northern California, you know, you'll probably have a different harvesting season. So this is my Edinger, and Edingers are typically ready around the times that bacon are ready. So my bacons are starting to become ready right now, and I've been picking one or two and they're softening up nicely on the counter. So we're ready to go, and I think I'm gonna hold on to this Edinger for a little longer to see how it goes. So if you know the variety, that's great, but if you don't know the variety, so for example, you move into a house and it already has a tree, and this is your first year getting fruit, and you're kind of curious when you should harvest some of your fruit, you know, take a look at it and see if some of the attributes of the fruit kind of matches some of the other attributes of known fruit. And if you still don't know, then what you want to look for is the stem turning from green to yellow, and then also if between the stem you see that brown mark or black mark, that's when you know that it might be time to go ahead and harvest them. And then also if the skin was shiny and started becoming dull, that's another good sign that you might be ready. And then of course you never want to pick the whole tree. You just pick a couple, leave it on the counter and try it out, and if they're good, then you can start picking more. If they're not good and if they're still rubbery, you might want to hold on for another couple weeks or another month or so, and then pick one and then try it again and see if it's good. And then from there you'll know for next year when that particular tree is going to be good. So if I were to ask you what type of fruit this is, you'd be like, well, I don't know. It's a little bumpy, not too bumpy, still green. The shape is kind of egg shape here. Well, this is actually a Jan Boyce. So sometimes you just don't know what variety you have. So sometimes it's hard to tell what variety you have, you just don't know. But sometimes it's easy. Like when you have something like this, I'll give you guys one guess what this is. Kind of a round cannonball style avocado. So this is a reed. So if you know that you have a reed based on the fruit attributes and also kind of like the tree structure, then you know that you got to at least wait 15 months. Probably harvesting them June, July, August, September of the following year after you get fruit. So knowing the variety kind of helps, not knowing but looking at the fruit type and kind of just determining what it actually is, and that's kind of the way to do it. So just a couple of little things to look out for when you're harvesting avocados. We're starting to harvest some of our avocados right now, so this is a good time for some of you guys who have avocados also and have been wondering if your avocados are ready to be picked. So take a look at it. Hopefully you got lots of fruit, and thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later. See ya.